welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm John F. Harrison, your host. I'll be your tour guide today through all things financial. I'm a certified financial planner, an ordained minister, a multi-published author, and the president of Aspire Financial Advisors. And it'll be my pleasure to walk you through our topic of the episode. And on this program, we talk about pretty much everything that has to do with your money, from college to cars, from recreation to retirement. If it affects your money, it affects your life, and we'll talk about it here. Now, usually, each episode is dedicated entirely to one primary topic only, so that we can go into the kind of depth that you want and need. Once in a while, and today is one of those days, we'll have a bonus topic, talk about two things, and things that are very current or on our minds, and I want to make sure we get it all to you. So we got a packed show in this episode, and when we come back from this short break, we'll be talking about two things. First of all, why are we here? Or more specifically, the topic of money management, investing, all those kind of things that this show is about. Is it appropriate to have such a show on an explicitly Christian TV network like NECTN? There are a lot of people who have questions about that. We want to talk about that. And then after that, we're going to talk about Social Security, everything you need to know, no matter your age. If you're older and close to filing, or if you're just starting out, there's some things you need to know. We're going to talk about both of those things right on the other side of this break. See you in a moment.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Welcome back to The Bottom Line. I want to begin with this thought. Sometimes when people turn to a Christian television network, they have certain expectations about what they're going to see. They know they're going to see church services. They know they're going to see Bible studies. They know they're going to see maybe music or worship or prayer or what have you, all the things that are staples of Christian living. But sometimes people are a little surprised to see a show dedicated to the topic of personal finance on an explicitly Christian network. They wonder if that maybe doesn't miss the mark a little bit in terms of its focus. And I want to assure you to this episode that I don't think it does. I think it's right on the mark, and it is as biblical a thing as we can do to talk about money and money management. I'm going to give you three quick reasons why before jumping into today's topic. All of these are from Scripture, and I'll just share these ones quickly with you. Ecclesiastes 10 and 19 says this: "So the feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things." In modern English, money is the answer to everything. Well, what could that possibly mean? Could that be true? Simply this: there's hardly a thing in your natural life that money doesn't impact. It pays for the roof over your head. It pays for the food in your fridge. It pays for the audio-video system in your church. It pays for your health care when you're sick. It pays for your vacations. It keeps your car full of gas. Everything you do in life, to some extent or another, has money either directly or indirectly behind it. So getting your money right means getting a lot of the details of your life right. Getting your money to be satisfactory means enabling a lot of the portions of your life to work out the way that you would like. So money answereth all things. It makes sense for us to learn to be skillful with our money. Scripture number 2. This is from Luke 16, verses 10 and 11. I'll shorten it. Jesus basically said this: if ye therefore have been unfaithful in the unrighteous mammon, who shall entrust to your care the true riches? What this means is that money is a gateway issue for believers. It's a litmus test of sorts. Jesus said in the eternal scheme of things, money isn't much. You won't need it in heaven. You won't have an IRA balance during the millennial kingdom. All these things won't be of eternal import, but they're certainly important here. And what the Lord said was that if in the unimportant things, eternally speaking, like money, you're not able to manage well, you're not able to do well, you're not faithful in the unrighteous mammon, then who's going to entrust you with that which is truly valuable in spiritual terms? So it's a gateway issue. If we have spiritual ambition, if we have a hunger to do things that matter in the eternal, then it makes sense for us to get good at managing the temporal, because you don't get the latter without the former. And the last one I want to mention to you is that money is a tool for fulfilling the will of God in your life. It says in Ephesians 2, around verse 10, that we were created unto good works and that God ordained that we would walk in them. Good works, for the most part, require money. If you want to feed the hungry, if you want to house the homeless, if you want to provide Bibles for parts of the world that don't have them, if you want to build a church to preach the gospel in, all of these things require money. Good works being our purpose make money a tool for the accomplishment of our purpose. In fact, in Ephesians 4:28, the scripture says, to the person that stole, let him steal no longer, but let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. So if you need any motivation at all to get excited about becoming better with your money, it's that having money gives you the capacity to give to those that don't, and that's something that God cares about. So if you've been having nagging doubts about whether it's appropriate for Christians to be thinking about things like mutual funds and stocks and bonds and taxes and all of these things when there are deep and spiritual things to talk about, yeah, it's absolutely appropriate. It's a big part of life. It's a gateway issue. It's a litmus test. It's the answer to just about everything you deal with down here. And it's a power tool for accomplishing the will of God in your life. For all these reasons, we're happy to be here. And I think that you can feel good about studying money. If you're a believer, study it in a Christian context, study it in a biblical context, and that will serve your life very well. So having said that, let me jump in to this episode's primary topic, and that is going to be everything, or I should say the basic things you need to know about Social Security, and that's at any age. It's especially pressing. It feels urgent the older you are. If you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, it's starting to become like an urgent thing. But even if you're younger, this is going to be a big part of your life beginning the day you first get a job. So everybody needs to know some basic things about Social Security, and we're going to run through some of those things today. So if you don't have one yet, get yourself a pencil and paper, take some notes. We're going to give you a lot of information today, and we're going to start with what Social Security costs you. If you are employed, you are paying 7.65% of your gross paycheck into the Social Security system. You're putting in 7.65%. Your employer is putting in 7.65% for a total of 15.3% of your gross pay going into the system. If you're self-employed, maybe you're in the gig economy, you get a 1099 rather than a W-2, you're paying the whole 15.3. You're paying the employee portion and the employer portion, and it, on a net basis, is a little less than that because you get to deduct a portion of that against your income taxes. But basically, you're paying the whole 15.3% yourself if you are self-employed. But you're doing this out of each and every paycheck. This year, it'll be for the first $147,000 that you make. That's called the wage base, and that's the amount that is subject to Social Security tax. It breaks down into two pieces. 1.45% of that is Medicare, and there is no top to that. There's no cap to it. And 6.2% of it is the Social Security piece, and that caps out at $147,000 of income. So if you make more than the wage base, you'll pay Social Security tax up until that first $147,000 this year, and then for every dollar beyond that, you won't make the payment. I say Social Security tax. The government insists that it's not a tax. They call it FICA. That's what it says on your pay stub if you look. Your FICA contribution, and that stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act. So they consider that your insurance contribution and not a tax. But however you look at it, it's something that you and your employer are required to pay. And it's a substantial amount of money. And that wage base tends to grow every year or so. And so you're paying quite a bit of money into the system. You want to know what your money is going to do for you. Let's also talk about eligibility. In order to get a retirement benefit, and today's discussion will be about just Social Security retirement. There are other parts of the program. They are not applicable to everybody, and they're fairly complex, so I'm going to stick to the retirement issue today. To get a retirement benefit, you need to get what they call 40 credits. That's essentially 10 years of work and paying into the system. Once you've paid in for 10 years, you're entitled to receive a retirement benefit when you hit an age that you can file for Social Security. If you're working for 8 years, let's say, and then you get married and stop working to raise a family, then you don't get a retirement benefit of your own, but you'll be able to, if you're still married or have been married for a certain length of time, you'll be able to get your spouse's benefit, half of that. But to get your own benefit, you need 40 quarters or 10 years. And once you do, then you can start working the system. We're going to take a short break and pay some bills. And when we come back, we'll talk about, for those who will be getting a retirement benefit, how is it calculated, what can you expect to get, and what do you need to know? That's right after this.
The Well Jamaican Restaurant, located at 55 Mazio Drive in Randolph, Mass., where good food and fellowship meet daily. Check out our variety of fresh and tasty entrees and sides from our menu or the website, thewellja.com, like our jerk chicken, oxtails and rice, seafood, desserts, and more. With our drinks and juices made fresh daily, you have the option to dine in or take out. We can also cater your special event, or you can book our private dining room and let us host your special event. At the Well Jamaican Restaurant, we pride ourselves on providing superior quality food and beverages, and of course, great customer service. Next time you're in the mood for Jamaican cuisine, meet us at the Well Jamaican Restaurant. Become part of the family. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. The Well, where good food and fellowship meet daily.
All right, let's talk about, you're going to get a Social Security retirement benefit. You're going to have your 40 quarters. How is your benefit calculated? Well, it's based on a number of different things, one of which is what Social Security calls your full retirement age. If you were born 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. If you were born prior to that, it was 66 and some odd months, depending on how long ago you were born. But everyone born after 1960, 1960 or later. Full retirement age is 67. Now, you can claim and take Social Security retirement benefits as early as age 62. But if you do that, the amount of the benefit will be reduced and rather substantially. You don't have to take it at your full retirement age. You can also delay it. You can wait until you're age 70. And if you wait until 70, your benefit is rather substantially higher than it would have been if you take it at your full retirement age. Once you start collecting, you get paid monthly. It's either the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of every month, depending on when you were born. If your birthday is between the 1st and the 10th, then you get the second Wednesday. If you're between the 11th and the 20th, you're paid the third Wednesday. And if you're born between the 21st and the 31st, then you get the fourth Wednesday of every month. So that's how Social Security gets paid. Something people often don't realize, and this is the next point I'd like to make, is that your Social Security benefit, your retirement benefit, may be taxable. It doesn't feel right, does it? I mean, you feel like you paid into it with a tax on your wages. That FICA payment it's a tax, no matter what they call it. And now that you're getting the payout, which begins as the return of the money you paid in, you're maybe subject to tax for it. Well, 40% of Social Security recipients are subject to income tax on their payments. It's kind of a complex system, but the short version is if you're collecting as a single person, your benefit will be at least partially taxable if your half of your Social Security plus your other income is more than $25,000 a year. If you hit that threshold, your Social Security begins to be taxable. If you are married filing jointly, then if half your Social Security income plus your other income is $32,000 a year or more, then half your Social Security is taxable. And you can reach an income level where up to 85% of your Social Security income is taxable. That's no fun, but you need to know where you're going to stand to help you plan your budgeting. If you assume that whatever they're going to give you is coming in tax-free, and it turns out that 85% of it is taxable, that's going to put a crimp in your budget. So you need to be able to do that math and figure out whether your benefits will be untaxable, 50% taxable, or 85% taxable, and that all depends on the numbers from the other income you get. Another issue, if you start collecting Social Security retirement benefits before you hit full retirement age, let's say you start at age 62, and you're still working, there are limits to how much you're allowed to earn before they start reducing the payments you're getting from Social Security. Basically, the number is $19,560 this year, meaning that a 62-year-old who collects the Social Security retirement benefit, continues to work part-time, earns, let's say, $28,000 a year from his part-time income. Well, his Social Security benefit will be reduced $1 for every $2 he earns over the limit. So again, if you're planning on working part-time after you file for Social Security, and if it's that happens before you hit full retirement age, be aware of how much you're likely to earn and that it will affect your benefits if you earn what they consider to be too much. Now, once you hit full retirement age, it doesn't matter what you earn. You could retire at 67, start collecting Social Security, start a business, earn $100,000 a year, and it doesn't impact your payments. So once you're at full retirement age, you're golden. It's just before that, you have to watch how much you earn. So the key question for most people is, when should I file? What age do I file to maximize my benefits? And the answer to that is a resounding, it depends. The answer to many things in finances, it depends. And that maybe isn't necessarily great for media presentations. Media loves certainty and doctrinaire answers to things. You should always do this. You should never do that. But the truth is, most things, the answer is it depends. And Social Security filing is no exception. The way to maximize your benefit depends in part on a question that you can't answer. And that question is, how long am I going to live? Because if your life turns out to be short, you retire at 62 and live to be 67, then you were better off taking your benefit beginning at age 62. At least you got, 5 years worth of the benefit before you passed on to your reward. If you live a long time, now there's some math to be done, because what happens by retiring at 62, you're getting a benefit that's 30% less than you would get if you retired at your full retirement age 67. If your base benefit was going to be $1,000 a month, but you retire at 62 and claim then, well, then you're going to get $700 a month. That's 30% less than the 1,000. And if you wait till 67, you get the full 1,000, but you've missed out on a full 5 years of payments that the person who retired at 62 and claimed then was getting. So the bigger payments take a while before the total you've received catches up and surpasses what you would have received had you started at 62. So there are what's called break-even calculators. Lots of websites have them. SSA.gov may have one of its own, but there's certainly a number of them out there. If you Google Social Security break-even calculator, TIAA CREF has one on their website. And what it lets you do is plug in what your Social Security benefit is going to be, plug in two different retirement ages, an early one and a later one, 62 versus 66, or 62 versus 69, or 64 versus 70, whatever you like. And the later payment will always be larger, and the calculator will tell you, assuming a given percentage of cost of living increase that Social Security gets, the calculators will tell you at what year you break even by waiting for the later benefit. And each year that you live beyond the break-even point, then you were better off waiting and claiming the later benefit, because you've now made more total money. So it can be a bit convoluted, but it's worth doing the math. And there's more to it than just the break-even calculation. Again, what is your life expectancy? We don't know. But most people are perhaps a little bit pessimistic about that. A lot of us are going to live longer than we think. Each generation has been living a little longer than the one before it. And while COVID may have thrown off our numbers for a year or two, in general, we expect that trend to continue. So how long will you live? What other income do you have? What other savings and investments can you draw from? Can you afford to wait? Or do you really need that income now? All those things are going to impact when it's best for you to take your benefit. You can play with that right online. If you haven't done this already, go to SSA.gov. That's the Social Security Administration's website. Create an online account for yourself, again, if you haven't already. And you can look up and see, for instance, how much they've credited you with paying into the system since you started working, and what your projected benefit will be. And that will be an eye-opening exercise, which brings me to the next point I wish to make, and that is simply this. Social Security was never designed to be your only source of income in retirement. It was never designed to cover all of your expenses. If you find yourself living on just Social Security, things are going to be pretty tight. For the average person, Social Security replaces about 40% of your anticipated income need. your anticipated budget. If you have been a very low earner all your life, it'll replace a bit more than that when compared to what you were making. It'll do a bit more than 40%. If you were a high earner and you got earnings near or above the wage base for most of your career, then Social Security will replace somewhat less than 40% of the income you're accustomed to making. So whether you're a low earner or a high earner, what you need to know is it was never designed to replace the majority of your income. It's designed to replace about 40%. So if you haven't set aside money separately, they each talk about a three-legged stool, and it was Social Security, pensions, and savings. Pensions went away for most people. Now it's Social Security, 401k, or other similar plan, and savings. If you're not really working on the last two legs of that stool, now is the day to get started, because Social Security by itself won't be enough. We need to take another break and hear a bit from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll wrap this up and sort of summarize where we are and what you should do. Hang on for that, and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the bottom line. Let's summarize where we've been. Your homework, bet you didn't know you were going to get homework on a TV show, did you? But your homework, if you haven't done it already, is to go to ssa.gov, create your account with the Social Security Administration, see what you've been credited with for payments into the system. Make sure that it's been properly credited. Don't worry what it shows for the last year or two. It takes them a while sometimes to get caught up. But for anything 3 years old or older, check your old tax returns. Make sure you were properly credited with your earnings, and let them show you right on the website what you are likely to get and how your benefit is created and calculated. It's a real eye opener, and it's something you really need to know, and it will motivate you to start growing your own nest egg. Hey, if this sort of information is helpful to you, I'm asking you to please follow the show, tune in to us, like us on social media or whatever platform you're seeing this on, share it with your friends, follow NECTN online so that we can continue to bring you topics like this. You can find this and much of the other information that we discuss on this show in my book, Making Mammon Serve You, a biblical manual for money mastery. It's available on Amazon, and all the information we discuss here can be found there in even greater depth. If you have questions, concerns, issues you'd like to hear us talk about, you can always reach out to me. You can find me at Aspire Financial Advisors website at aspirefa.com, and look forward to interacting with you. All my contact information is there, and we will see you next time for another financial topic that will matter to you. Remember, no matter how far you have to go and how far away your journey seems to be, you can get there from here. All you need is a little direction for the journey, and that's the bottom line.